Hi kids, welcome to Miss Nancy's Bible College for Kids. I'm glad you're tuned in. We're going to have this month, we're going to repost some of the scary stories through the Bible. So you have a lot to look forward to. And since you know you've had these lessons from times past, you should know all the answers. Thanks guys. Bye. Hi kids. Welcome to Miss Nancy's Bible College for Kids. Today begins what I do every year. I call it the Scary Stories Through the Bible. I hope you enjoy these. The truth of the matter is the scariest thing that can happen is you may never get saved. And if you don't, you're going to die and go to hell. So Miss Nancy's going to start today with the story called The Witch of En-dor. And it starts in the Old Testament in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 28, and then we'll go to 31. We'll start with verse 7. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her, inquire of her. And his servant said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at En-dor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment. It reminds me of Halloween, of trick-or-treat. He put on other raiment, that's clothing, and he went, and 2 men went with him. And they came to the woman by night. That's when people likes to do all the things that are wicked, is by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. Now this started because Samuel had just died and Saul had heard not from God. He prayed to him. He didn't get no answers. He tried to have dreams. He just did not hear from the Lord. So he had to find another way to find out what to do to go to battle. But the woman said, Who shall I bring up? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice, and the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? Thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And kids, I don't ever want the Lord to be my enemy, and I don't want that for you either. And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Because, this tells him why exactly. Thou obeyedest not the voice of the Lord. Thou executest his fierce wrath, nor executed his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, here comes a very scary part, guys. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shall thou and thy sons be with me. Remember, he's dead. The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straightway all along the earth, and was sore afraid, because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him. And here's why. For he had not eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and I put my life in thy hand, and have hearkened unto thy words which thou spakest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thine handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee. I love this story that it's got not only a witch, but a morsel. Them two words go hand in hand. But let me set this morsel of food before thee, and eat, that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. But he refused, and said, I will not eat. Sounds like a big baby. But his servants, together with the woman, compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth, and sat upon the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, and took flour and kneaded it, that means like this, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Saul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. Now let's go to chapter 31 the next day. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines, and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard upon Saul and upon his sons, and the Philistines slew, that means killed, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Melchishua, Saul's 3 sons. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was sore wounded of the archers. Then said Saul to his armor-bearer, Draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through, and abuse me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Seems like everybody in this story was sore afraid. That's why I want you to be afraid of what might happen if you don't get saved. It's not what might happen, it's what will. If you're not a Christian, you need to get saved, and that's by believing that Jesus Christ died on the cross, according to the scriptures, the Bible, that he was buried, and that he arose again the 3rd day, according to the scriptures. And if you believe that, the Bible says, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Anyway, therefore Saul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So there's 2 suicides. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, excuse me, Miss Nancy, and all his men that same day together. And when the men of Israel that were on the other side of the valley, and they that were on the other side of Jordan, saw the men of Israel fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they forsook the cities and fled, and the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, that they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And they cut off his head, here's the end of Saul, and stripped off his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about it, to publish it in the house of their idols and among the people. And they put this Saul's armor in the house of Ashtaroth, which is a false god, and they fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. And when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard of that which the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night, and took the body of Saul and the body of his sons from the wall of Bethshan, and came to Jabesh, and burnt them there, and took their bones, and buried them under a tree in Jabesh. And they fasted. That meant they went without food for 7 days. Now, I don't know about you, but I really feel like this is a very scary story, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, who had just died at the beginning of this story? Samuel, and he was a man of God. And what had King Saul put away in all the land. Those with familiar spirits, which is witches, and those warlocks, witches, warlocks, and wizards. That's what I think of. But really, I don't know if all those existed. But wizards and familiar spirits is the way that the Bible says it. When Saul saw that the host of the Philistines, when he saw all them, how did it make him feel? He was sore afraid and his heart was trembling. So what happened when Saul inquired of the Lord? Nothing. No dreams, no prophets, no nothing. So what did Saul tell his servants to do? Find him a woman with a familiar spirit. And so who did they send Saul to? The Witch of En-dor. And what did Saul do before he went to go see her? He disguised himself. Guys, I know it's just beginning October, but that holiday that's coming up, Halloween, it is nothing but absolutely mocking wicked things. I would strongly suggest that you don't go, but we went as children and we survived, but it's so much more wicked nowadays. But anyway, so he disguised himself, and how many men did Saul take with him? 2. That happens a lot in the Bible. It's like a double witness. And what time did he go to this woman with the familiar spirit? Of a nighttime, didn't he? And what did Saul tell her to do? Bring me up whom I tell you. What was her response? You know what King Saul said. What are you doing? Trying to get me killed? Now that's just Miss Nancy's words. But what did Saul swear unto this woman? He said, no harm or punishment will come to you for this. And when the woman called up the dead with the familiar spirit, who was it she called up? Samuel, who had just passed away. And when she did, what happened then? She cried with a loud voice, because then she knew who King Saul was. And she looked at him and said, you are Saul. She thought right then her life was over. But Saul told her, don't be afraid. I promised you, I swore, nothing would happen to you. So he said, tell me what you saw. And what did this witch from En-dor tell him? She said, I saw gods coming up out of the earth. And when she said that, Saul said, what did he look like? And she said, what was her reply? An old man cloaked around with a mantle. And who did Saul know that this was? Samuel. And what did Samuel say to Saul? Why did you disquiet me, Saul, and bring me up? And what did Saul reply? Well, I'm distressed. The Philistines are about to attack us, and God won't tell me nothing, so I come to get you. And what did Samuel say? He said, if God don't answer you anyway, anyhow, why should I be called up to answer you? But he went ahead and told him. What did he tell him? He said, the Lord has taken the kingdom from you and gave it to David. And why did God take it? We've talked about this before. Because, Saul, you did not obey God. And he was wanting him to destroy Amalek, remember? Period. But who was going to win the battle in the next day or two? The Israelites was going against the Philistines, and it was not good. The Israelites was not going to do it. What scary thing did Samuel tell Saul would happen on the next day, on the tomorrow? You and your sons will be with me tomorrow. So, when he heard that, how did that make Saul feel? He was sore afraid, and he had no strength. Why didn't he have any strength, kids? Because he had not eaten nor drank anything that day or night. And when the Witch of En-dor saw how Saul was, what did she try to get him to do? She wanted him to take just a morsel of food. Did he agree to it? No. But when she kept on, and the people that was with him, the 2 men, he finally did. What did the woman have in her house to feed Saul and the 2 men? She had a fatted calf, and she went and killed it, and then she baked what kind of bread? Unleavened. That means that it couldn't rise because it didn't have time. But anyway, after this, the next day, on that morrow, what happened to Saul in the battle? The archers, remember, hit him. But did he die right off? No, he didn't. So he looked at his armor bearer, and what did he ask him to do? He said, fall upon me, lest they come and kill me, but they'll abuse me first. Would the armor bearer do it? No, he would not. So Saul committed suicide. And then, what did the armor bearer do once he saw that? He too committed suicide. And when the armies of the Philistines got there, what did they do to Saul's sons? They killed them, didn't they? And then they took Saul, and what did they do to him? They cut off his head, stripped off his armor, and sent it to the Philistines to publish it throughout the land, didn't they? And where did they put Saul's armor? In the house of Ashtaroth, which is a false god. And what did they do with his body? They fastened it to the wall in Bashan. And what did the valiant men of Jabesh Gilead do when they found all this out? They went and took the body of Saul and the body of his 3 sons from the wall of Bashan, and they came to Jabesh, and they burnt their bones there, and they buried their bones under a tree, and then they fasted for 7 days. Guys, this is a very scary story, and what makes it so scary is it's true, and it's in the Bible. God wrote it down so you can know. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you next time. Bye, kids.